Hello and welcome! My name is Heather. I'm a registered professional counselor and a certified life coach. And today I'm going to be analyzing Amber and Barnett's relationship from Love is Blind After the Altar. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more analysis videos like this one. Okay, let's get to the show.
I can't see your eyes, it's too bright. There you go.
So far it looks like their relationship is going really well and that they're going really strong. So it's great that they're still going on dates, they're having fun with each other, they're going on adventures. Amber is complimenting Barnett and how he looks. It seems like they're doing all the things that they can to really connect with each other and have that strong bond, which is great considering that they've been married for 2 years. And just with the unique situation of being a part of this experiment. So it's really great to see.
But maybe Voldemort.
Yes, Voldemort. I have zero interest in associating with Jessica after the way that she disrespected me.
So they nicknamed Jessica as Voldemort. It sounds like there's still some resentment. It's a bit of a sore subject still for Amber to talk about Jessica.
You were so confused 2 weeks ago. I want to make sure that you're doing what's right for you.
We saw the clip from the first season and how Jessica disrespected Amber. From what I can remember from their reunion episode, Jessica actually apologized to Amber and Barnett for how she acted, and she did show a lot of remorse. It seemed like that apology was genuine, and I think the way that it left off was that Amber was still processing Jessica's apology, but she hasn't officially accepted it or forgiven her.
If that person were to show up, to interact with her, hang out with me, hang out with people.
Yep, that's
hang
it.
out with people you like.
Stop now.
So I do want to clarify that when I am going to be talking about the characters, it's not about the individuals necessarily. It's more so as an opportunity to talk about the specific situations or communication style, to talk about things in a broader sense. Obviously, I'm not in a session with the characters. I don't know them. I'm not assessing them. So let's just keep that in mind. Now, it's okay if you're not ready to accept a person's apology, but it sounds like the way that Amber is reacting right now, I can only imagine how hurt she might feel after watching the first season, only to find out that a friend or someone that you thought was a friend went around and was trying to question or doubt your relationship with your fiance. So I understand where Amber's anger is coming from and her feelings of hurt. And the way that she reacts to these feelings is to try to ignore Jessica and pretend that she doesn't exist. So someone who may have the same reaction as Amber, it's possible that in the past they've been betrayed before, or they've been betrayed over and over again after forgiving someone. And so what they've learned is that they can't trust anyone, and that if someone betrays them, then there's no point in forgiving them or moving past it or trying to patch things up because they expect the other person to hurt them again. So I'm not saying that this is what Amber is going through, but it's definitely something that comes to my mind when I see this type of reaction.
There's nothing better than having your daughter-in-law come over and spend the day with you at the pool.
It's so great to see that everyone's getting along and that everyone is close, because sometimes in relationships, families and family-in-laws can be a source of conflict. So I'm glad to see that that's not an issue with them.
He has it in his head that there's this checklist of things that you have to do in life to be ready for a kid. And I just feel like the longer he waits to achieve the things that are on that checklist, it's just the more unrealistic it's going to become.
So it sounds like they've talked about wanting to have kids, but they have different expectations of what that would look like. When it comes to discussions around starting a family and having kids, it's important to try to compromise and get on the same page, especially because it's such a huge decision to make as a couple, and it's going to essentially change the dynamics forever. In this case, it's okay if Amber wants to start having kids sooner, or she feels that they should start trying and that there's no perfect time. And it's also okay for Barnett to feel that there are certain things that you need to have before you can start raising a family or bring a kid into the mix. Both of those are very valid. Now, how do they communicate with each other so they feel that each other's heard and understood, and also so they can get on the same page and have a goal that they can both work towards? So maybe if Barnett has a checklist of things that they need, I think she mentioned before, like, yeah, he needs a house, a steady job, or something like that. And it makes sense if you want to have a house first before start raising a family. Now, is that the only way or the right way? It's not the only way to have kids, definitely. It might be a bit easier if you do have your own place and you're not renting or sharing with a roommate. So I can totally understand where Barnett is coming from, but it's also important to acknowledge that Amber wants to have kids and she wants to start a family right away. Maybe the conversation that they would need to have is around, okay, well, at what point would they want to start trying? Is it going to be 6 months from now? Is it going to be a year from now? Is it going to be when they have enough money for a down payment of a house, then they'll start trying? So those are the types of conversations that they need to have. And also there's a lot of societal pressures when it comes to getting married, and after a certain amount of time of getting married, you need to have kids right away. So maybe she's also feeling that pressure.
You've already got reservations about it. You want to at least eliminate a lot of the issues. Biggest thing is financial.
Great. So it sounds like Barnett's mom is trying to provide some insight for Amber so she can understand a little bit more of where Barnett is coming from. And she explained it really well, and that you want to make sure that the odds are in your favor, right? And especially with having kids, it costs a lot of money. I think I was reading somewhere that in the US, in order to raise a child from infancy until they're 18, it costs somewhere between $200,000, if not more, to raise a child. So yeah, it is quite the financial investment. It makes sense if you want to have some savings set aside to make sure that your family lives comfortably, you're able to provide your family and your child with everything that they need.
The longer we wait, just the harder things are going to be on me physically to have kids. So I reached out to my doctor, and I've been diagnosed with epilepsy.
It's scary to know that you're going through health concerns. It makes sense as to why she would want to have a child sooner, right? Because she's worried about pregnancy complications. She already mentioned she expected to have kids a lot sooner in her life. So in her mind, she's already feeling like she's behind.
And he's more concerned with his own fears, and he doesn't acknowledge mine at all, especially when it comes to how scared I am of having high-risk pregnancies.
She did say it was high risk, so maybe she already did talk to someone about it, and that can cause a lot of feelings of fear and anxiety. And it sounds like she's already talked to Barnett, but he doesn't validate or acknowledge her fears and also the health implications, right? Because it's not only the health of your child, but it could also be your health that might be at risk. And that's why going to couples therapy can be really helpful, because the therapist is there to help you kind of navigate those tougher conversations to have with your partner. Perhaps in this case, Barnett also feels scared. He also feels anxious and he feels worried. Maybe he's trying to ignore the fact that they need to have kids right away because he's worried that something would happen to Amber's health. So having these conversations, being open, being vulnerable, is really important. I would also imagine that it's really scary to go through this, and they probably feel like they're going in this alone.
What do you think about seeing Jessica?
Next question.
Just anxious seeing everybody again, because
Now, why would they feel anxious? It's possible that maybe they expect Jessica to maybe make a scene. Maybe she's going to try to insert herself in the relationship again to try to break them up or to cause doubts in the relationship. So I can understand where their anxiety might be coming from, especially if they're expecting the worst. I don't imagine that Jessica would try to do anything at the party to make a scene or to try to break them up.
Hi. Hey, guys.
What you got?
I have a gift for you and Amber.
Okay.
I wanted to deliver to you
All right.
so that y'all know I respect y'all's relationship and have love for y'all.
Okay.
You know?
Thank you.
Oh my god. Oh, that's so cringy and awkward to watch. So Jessica tried to drop off her gift for the Barnetts. Like, it was a nice gesture. She even said that she just wanted to show that she had respect for their relationship.
You want me to set it somewhere?
Yeah, it's over there somewhere, because I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm not allowed to. So.
Oh, you're not allowed to? Okay.
Barnett made a promise to Amber earlier that they weren't going to talk to Jessica, and here comes Jessica with a gift, and he's trying his best to navigate the situation, even though it's just really awkward. She's trying to drop off a gift, she's trying to be nice, and he's trying to honor his promise to Amber. How do you expect him to just ignore her when people are there watching, there's cameras watching? It's obvious that he doesn't want to upset Amber. So it's possible in the past that he knows that Amber can get really heated or really upset, and he doesn't want to upset her, especially when it comes to Jessica. Barnett is probably freaking out because he was hoping that she wouldn't come up to him or Amber to try to make peace or to try to give them a gift. What would you guys do if you were in Barnett's situation? Let me know in the comments below.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I had to go. I didn't want to be a dick, but also I don't want to piss off my wife. It is a respect thing. Like, if my wife doesn't want me talking to Jessica, if she doesn't want me doing anything with Jessica, then I can't do this.
So I do find Barnett's reaction really interesting because he's saying like, oh, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to go over here, and oh, what am I going to do? Even in the individual interview, I'm guessing those are usually taken after the actual anniversary event. Even then, he doesn't want to talk about it. It's almost as if he's scared. The situation has definitely brought out a really interesting dynamic between him and Amber. It's almost as if he's trying to tiptoe around the Jessica situation so he doesn't want to upset Amber. Now, the other thing that we can say is that he's very much aware of how Amber feels towards Jessica and the whole situation, and he doesn't want to trigger that.
She asked me if it was okay if she gave us a gift.
No.
And I said,
I don't want it.
No.
Because I'm not going to enable somebody that I think is doing damage control. She is not a genuine person. I do not care to enable that.
So what exactly does that mean for her? Does damage control mean the same as apologizing and wanting to smooth things over? And that kind of ties in with my previous hypothesis around maybe Amber feeling betrayed or feeling hurt repeatedly in the past, and therefore she doesn't want to associate herself with anyone who has hurt her or harmed her. So I'm also curious to know what Amber's definition of forgiveness is. A lot of times people feel that forgiveness might be a sign of weakness.
I don't care to forgive her. She has disrespected me and disrespected our relationship in a way that will never be forgiven. And as far as I'm concerned, she does not exist in our world. And I don't care how she feels about us. Period.
It's possible that maybe she enjoys having that upper hand and that she wants to have that control or that power by not forgiving someone and, let it be water under the bridge. It's been 2 years. It sounds like it's still an active problem in their relationship. Maybe not problem is the right word, but it's still like very much present in their relationship is this dynamic with Jessica. They mentioned earlier that Jessica was messaging Barnett and then all of a sudden they blocked her. That could have been another opportunity if they wanted to kind of hash things out. On the other hand, it's been 2 years, and if it's still a prevalent issue in your relationship, then maybe it's something worth revisiting. Maybe it's something worth talking to Jessica about. Even expressing to her that you're angry, even expressing to her that you don't want to be associated with her. So it's up to her and Barnett if they don't want to forgive Jessica, but I'm curious to know how Barnett feels about it because it sounds like Amber is the one who's really taking the reins in the situation. She's the one who's super offended that Jessica went to Barnett and talked to him. And maybe Amber also feels a bit threatened by Jessica because technically Jessica did date Barnett in the pods. So another possibility is that maybe Amber doesn't fully trust Barnett, and therefore in order to trust him and reduce those feelings of anxiety or mistrust, she needs to make sure that he cuts off all communications with Jessica. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any suggestions for other couples or shows you'd like me to analyze, let me know in the comments below. Feel free to check out my other therapist reviews videos, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, be kind and love yourself.